What if the royal love story that captivated the world was never a love story at all? What if the fairy tale that placed Meghan Markle beside Prince Harry was built on a secret that reaches far deeper into the royal family than anyone dared to imagine? Because right now, in the quiet corridors of Britain's most powerful social circles, a single explosive question is being whispered again and again. A question so dangerous that it threatens to tear apart the carefully crafted mythology surrounding the House of Windsor. What if Harry unknowingly married a woman who was already connected to one of the most controversial men in the royal bloodline, his own uncle, Prince Andrew? And the woman now sitting on the answer to that question, the woman who may soon detonate the entire story, is none other than Sarah Ferguson. For years, she was dismissed as a scandal-prone outsider, a red-haired embarrassment who stumbled through financial disasters and tabloid humiliations. But insiders are now warning that behind that chaotic public image hides something far more dangerous. A woman who heard everything, saw everything, and remembers far more than the royal family ever expected. And now, she may finally be ready to talk.
So Fergie is preparing to go nuclear, to drop the bomb that for a long time she has resisted as she grifts for money from whoever.
I believe that Andrew and Meghan have crossed paths. Why did they protect Andrew? And it might be because Andrew could have fired back and said that he does in fact know Meghan. You know, it could be a real tit for tat moment for them.
Meghan Markle is in a state of high anxiety amid growing concern that Sarah Ferguson is set to seal a massive money deal to write the bombshell book that all the royals have always feared.
He said Miss Markle was a close companion to Prince Andrew.
According to people, she got started her yachting days and she never stopped really. I don't think any of her boyfriends knew about it, but Meghan Markle was known as a hardcore yacht partying person, ready for anything.
There was a big post from Meghan from As Ever, you know, her weird online store where she sells mundane domestic products for astronomical prices.
The Yorks have always been protected by Harry and Meghan, but I think the gloves are about to come off.
Harry, who's that standing next to the Queen? Is that a servant? That's what Harry wrote in his book Spare. How stupid is this man that he actually believes it? Or is it that he wanted to believe?
Meghan Markle is screwed after Andrew got arrested by the British police.
A man called Kevin Blatt. Now, he is a celebrity tape broker, ladies, where he describes a 2018 call from a woman claiming to possess a 4-year-old tape of a Meghan who is about to marry a prince.
Her name is Meghan, and she's about to marry a prince in England.
What?
Yeah, this story's not true, too. It is true. I believe this is Meghan.
Revisit some of the most controversial moments in royal history, including the fallout from Megxit. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
No. It's just that I was going to say, we often splice you into my TV show, What Just Happened, and we recorded it this afternoon, and this was our kind of lead story.
Their reputation's down in the toilet as it is. I mean, I'm not sure how far Fergie would go. Perhaps Meghan and Andrew have crossed paths. I mean, it's something that I'm not sure will even come to light. I mean, it's highly suspicious given the circles that Andrew and Meghan have obviously floated in.
The moment that clip surfaced, the atmosphere around the Sussex camp reportedly shifted from irritation to full-blown panic. Not the kind of panic caused by a headline or gossip column, something deeper, something personal. Because according to insiders, the reason Meghan is nervous right now has nothing to do with journalists digging through old stories. It has everything to do with one woman, Sarah Ferguson, a woman who knew Meghan long before the royal engagement ring, long before the palace balconies, long before Netflix deals and carefully managed interviews turned the couple into a global brand. And that history matters more than anyone realized. Because Fergie wasn't just a casual acquaintance floating around the edges of the royal orbit. She was one of the first people to step forward when Meghan arrived in Britain in 2016, uncertain and calculating, searching desperately for allies inside one of the most intimidating families on earth. While senior royals kept their distance, it was Fergie who welcomed her in, showing her how the strange machinery of the monarchy worked. She guided her. She listened. And most importantly, she heard the things Meghan said when she believed those conversations would remain forever private.
Meghan Markle's past is truly coming back to bite her in the butt. And it is I am here for it. I am here for it because, Meghan thinks that she can go through life spiting everybody, hurting people, stepping on people, and never coming back to haunt her. Except when one of these people is Sarah Ferguson, who is as bad as Meghan Markle.
That short moment may seem harmless on the surface, but behind it lies a much darker implication. Because according to multiple insiders now speaking cautiously behind closed doors, Sarah Ferguson knows exactly who Meghan Markle was before she became the Duchess of Sussex. She knows the version of Meghan that existed before the palace narrative was carefully constructed, before the world was introduced to a new royal heroine battling an unforgiving institution. And if Fergie truly decides to publish what she knows, that version of Meghan could collide violently with the image that has been presented to the public for years. What makes this even more explosive is the simple fact that Sarah Ferguson wasn't just a helpful mentor when Meghan entered royal life. She was the ex-wife of Prince Andrew, the very man whose scandals have cast one of the darkest shadows in modern royal history. That means when Meghan confided in her, she wasn't speaking to a random family member. She was speaking to someone who knew the hidden dynamics of Andrew's world better than almost anyone alive.
She knows the way for the big payday is a Prince Harry style autobiography. A $20 million advance like Harry received is what she wants. And the people who are most terrified about this are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Because it is Fergie, of course, who could reveal all about what really went on with this couple and the British royal family and Andrew behind the scenes.
And that is where the story begins to turn from gossip into something far more unsettling. Because quietly buried beneath years of royal coverage is a detail that mainstream media rarely emphasizes. Meghan Markle was already connected to the York family before she ever met Prince Harry. Not casually, not through distant introductions. According to accounts that have circulated for years among royal watchers, Meghan had visited their homes, spent time with members of their circle, and was already familiar with Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, long before the romance with Harry became public. Meghan herself later confirmed that she had known Eugenie for years before Harry entered her life. That revelation alone raised eyebrows, because it means the official timeline of how Meghan entered royal society may not be quite as simple as the fairy tale narrative suggested. One name repeatedly appears as the mysterious bridge between Meghan's Hollywood social network and the York family's elite circles: Marcus Anderson, a well-connected socialite who moved effortlessly between celebrity culture and aristocratic gatherings. Through him, doors opened. Introductions happened, and Meghan began appearing in spaces that were deeply intertwined with the York world. Now step back and look at the timeline carefully. In the early 2000s, Meghan was a young actress aggressively networking among the wealthy and powerful elite that orbit international celebrity culture. At exactly the same time, Prince Andrew was known for hosting extravagant gatherings attended by financiers, socialites, and influential figures from across the globe. Yacht parties, private island events, exclusive introductions where careers were built and reputations were quietly destroyed. Same circles, same timeline, same social networks. That overlap is precisely why a growing number of royal observers now believe that the paths of Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew may have crossed long before Prince Harry entered the picture. For years, that possibility remained nothing more than whispered speculation. But everything changed when reports surfaced that Sarah Ferguson had privately hinted at a far more complicated story. According to people who claim to have heard her speak at a London gathering, Fergie allegedly suggested that Meghan's connections to Andrew's world began long before the public ever heard the name Prince Harry attached to hers. If those hints ever become printed in a memoir, and publishers are reportedly offering massive advances for exactly that, the consequences could be devastating. Because suddenly, the fairy tale timeline collapses. Suddenly, the story of a chance romance between a prince and a Hollywood outsider becomes something far murkier, something that looks less like destiny and more like strategy. And that is precisely why the Sussexes are said to be watching Sarah Ferguson so closely right now. Because once those stories appear in print, there will be no way to control how the public interprets them. Fergie is not known for cautious diplomacy or carefully sanitized language. When she speaks emotionally, bluntly, sometimes recklessly. That unpredictability is exactly what makes a potential tell-all memoir so terrifying to people who have spent years carefully managing their public image. And Fergie now has something she has never truly possessed before. before: leverage. Publishers reportedly believe her story could rival the impact of Harry's memoir Spare, a book that already shattered royal silence and became one of the fastest-selling non-fiction titles in history. But here is the twist that makes this situation even more volatile. Sarah Ferguson has spent decades protecting the royal family despite being repeatedly pushed to the margins of it. She stayed quiet during Andrew's scandals. She stayed quiet during royal feuds. She stayed quiet even when the media mocked her financial struggles and portrayed her as a desperate outsider clinging to royal relevance. But loyalty becomes difficult to maintain when someone feels abandoned. And according to insiders, that is exactly how Fergie now feels. Her charities have disappeared. Her finances have reportedly become strained. Her daughter's positions within the royal orbit appear increasingly uncertain as the monarchy tightens its ranks under King Charles III and the future reign of Prince William, which leaves Sarah Ferguson holding something extraordinarily valuable: secrets. Secrets about how Meghan entered the royal circle. Secrets about private conversations behind palace walls. Secrets about the complicated relationship between the Sussexes and the York family that never quite matched the public narrative. And now those secrets may be worth tens of millions of dollars to publishers eager for the next royal blockbuster. The match, as insiders describe it, is already in Fergie's hand. The only remaining question is when she decides to strike it. The terrifying reality for the Sussex camp is that the most dangerous chapter of this story may not even be about the past. It may be about what Sarah Ferguson decides to reveal next. Because once you understand the position she now finds herself in, the entire royal chessboard suddenly begins to look very different. For decades, Sarah Ferguson existed in a strange royal purgatory, not quite inside the family, yet never fully outside it either. She knew the secrets. She attended the dinners where conversations were supposed to remain private. She heard the whispers that never reached journalists. But she also carried the humiliation of being pushed out of the royal spotlight again and again while others rebuilt their reputations. That long silence was not loyalty alone. It was survival. Because as long as her daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, still had a place somewhere near the royal center, Fergie had a reason to protect the institution that had repeatedly embarrassed her. She stayed quiet about everything she knew, about the private conversations, about the dynamics between senior royals, and about the strange, complicated relationship that developed between Meghan Markle and the York family long before the world heard the name Prince Harry attached to hers. But something changed, slowly at first, and then very suddenly. As the monarchy began tightening its structure under King Charles III and the future leadership of Prince William, the extended royal circle started shrinking. Invitations became selective, public appearances were carefully controlled, and the York branch of the family, already bruised by the scandals surrounding Prince Andrew, found itself drifting further and further from the center of royal life. The signals were subtle but unmistakable. Photographs stopped happening, public roles quietly disappeared, and the fragile hope that Beatrice and Eugenie might retain meaningful positions within the royal structure began to fade. For Fergie, that moment changed everything, because once the future of her daughters inside the institution became uncertain, the last powerful reason for her silence vanished. And that is why the possibility of a Fergie memoir has royal watchers holding their breath, because if she truly decides to publish everything she knows, the fallout could spread far beyond Meghan Markle alone. It could drag old royal rivalries back into the spotlight. It could reopen questions about Prince Andrew's social connections. It could expose private palace conversations that were never meant to leave those walls. And perhaps most devastating of all, it could challenge the central narrative that has powered the Sussex brand for years, the story of a courageous couple forced to escape a hostile institution. If Fergie presents a different version of events, one based on conversations she personally heard and relationships she personally witnessed, the public will suddenly be forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew about the royal drama that unfolded between 2016 and 2020. Right now, the royal family is watching the situation carefully. Some insiders believe Prince William is determined not to negotiate with Sarah Ferguson at all, convinced that giving in to financial pressure would only encourage more public tell-all projects in the future. Others believe King Charles III may quietly seek some form of compromise, hoping to prevent a memoir that could reopen decades of painful royal controversies. But one thing appears increasingly certain: Sarah Ferguson finally understands the value of the secrets she has carried for so long. And unlike the rest of the royal family, she no longer has a position inside the institution that requires her to protect them, which means the entire House of Windsor may now be waiting for a single decision, a decision that could be made in the publisher's publisher's office, a lawyer's conference room, or a quiet conversation with a literary agent. The match is already in Fergie's hand, and if she decides to strike it, the carefully constructed royal fairy tale that has surrounded Harry, Meghan, Andrew, and the entire monarchy may not survive the fire that follows.